welcome to Uninterrupted. After 9 fabulous episodes of chatting with women leaders from different walks of life, we're diving deep into all things fashion, retail, and tech. Gear up to learn and unlearn as we unleash these gems for you. This episode has been presented by mirrAR by Style.me, an augmented reality technology platform revolutionizing the way people shop with their seamless virtual try-ons. Now available for jewelry, eyewear, and watches. Today's guest on Uninterrupted is a powerhouse imperative to the fashion industry in India. I'm in conversation with Shweta Kapur of 43188, who has developed a unique design language that celebrates self-expression and an independent spirit that runs through her silhouettes. She made her runway debut in 2014, and today, 14 collections and 9 years later, the brand has become a regular on the Indian fashion calendar while creating a niche for itself. Shweta, welcome to Uninterrupted, and I'm very excited to chat about all things fashion with you.
Thank you. That was a really kind introduction. I don't think anyone's ever been so kind to me.
I'm actually very, very intrigued by the brand and also by the name of the brand. Like, what significance does 43188 hold for you?
Honestly, it's the last 5 digits of my phone number. And the name which I originally wanted when I started was not available because of some legal issue. And I think, in the middle of a tantrum. And then I was like, I'm just going to call it 43188. And my parents were just like, what's wrong with you? And everyone around me was just like, you are crazy. And because everyone was saying that, and I was in like this tantrum throwing child, because I was like, I think 23, I was like, this is it. And like 9 years later, I guess here we are.
No, it's a very cool name, I think. You always associate usual things with fashion, but like I don't think anyone has ever associated numbers with fashion. I feel like it's a really cool combination, though.
I mean, it is a phone number. We are always on our phones, right? I think that's where it also kind of like came up from. Like, I wanted to have a digital brand. I wanted to be something which was easily accessible. And everything, like, we shop, we eat, we live through our phones. And being a number, it's always on top of every list. So that also works for us.
Yeah, no, that's smart. You started this label back in 2012, when people were still learning to experiment with looks and styles and aesthetics. What
Yeah.
inspired you to kind of start your label in the first place?
I mean, I've been working in this industry for like really, I think ever since I was in uni. So, throughout my summers and throughout college, I was always like with someone. And once I graduated, I was again working for like some really great brands like Burberry and VPL and like some great consultants in London. And unfortunately, everything was unpaid. Everything was like an internship. And, it was like just months and months of free work, which was not settling in with me. So I just decided, like, if I have to work for free, I might as well work for myself. And it was also a great time to come back to India. I think, like the markets in New York and London and Paris, everything was just like they were just full of people trying to do fashion and doing things. And India was an emerging market. There was just so much scope and there's so many opportunities here. So, and I'm glad, I just took the call and I came back.
Right. From then to now, would you say that your aesthetic has kind of evolved over time? Like I saw the Fringe collection, absolutely loved it. I think it's a very beautiful blend of contemporary and heritage like together. But how has like your aesthetic or the aesthetic of the brand grown over time?
I think in terms of aesthetic, it's definitely refined a lot, but I feel like your handwriting will always remain the same, right? So when I started, I was like, oh, like I would just do luxury sportswear because, I'm really into fitness and I love the idea of just like wearing leggings and sports bras and like a shirt on top because I was always a bit tomboyish in that aspect. So I kind of wanted to make clothes just for that, but obviously there was no market in India that time. Like, people were not comfortable wearing things like that. Slowly, we kind of started figuring out like, okay, like our girl who's buying all her contemporary wear from us, like what would she wear when she has to go for a wedding? Because she definitely doesn't want to wear what her mom wears, or she doesn't want to wear her mom's saris and things like that. So what can we offer her? And that's where the idea of these pre-draped saris with like a bit of leg showing came about. And that again works really well for us because girls always traveling, she's on the go. So, she needs something which is quick, easy to wear, fuss free, and elegant at the same time.
Right. On the same lines, like if you were to describe like a 43188 woman, like how would you
Hmm.
define her?
I would say she's on the go. She's super fuss free. She's sexy, but in a classy way. She's not crass in her behavior. And in terms of like the sex appeal, like if she's showing a certain part of her body, she'll pick one part of the body. It's not like, oh, there's like a high slit and a really deep neck and there's a lot of skin show. She's not like that. She's like very, very sophisticated. She loves her pockets and just loves like great fabrics.
Yeah, I think that's a very classy approach, like you reveal like a little bit, but like it's very classy at the same time.
Yeah, it looks amazing, right? You don't want to be like in your face all the time.
Exactly. Okay, so we've kind of, dived into who like the brand serves. But
Hmm.
this conversation, I feel, will be a little bit incomplete without chatting about, the hundreds and thousands of karigars who probably spend days perfecting every single detail on that tailored outfit. And, while I'm aware of the impeccable craftsmanship that the brand is known for, how has the brand kind of brought all the various stakeholders together, especially in the last year?
So last year was tough for everyone, but during lockdown, we made sure that we didn't cut anyone's salary, we didn't fire anyone. They were also like free, they were kind of getting, I mean, irritated is the right word because everyone was in that zone where they needed things to do. So we organized fabrics for them. We got them to make masks at home and encouraged them to kind of distribute it in their neighborhood, which kept them busy. We also got them to do like little skill sets. So, if they wanted to practice something, we encouraged them to like practice it while lockdown was on. Other than that, post lockdown, when business was still a bit slow and we didn't really want to like overproduce things, we organized some sort of like workshops for them. Like for example, like we got the principal of New Era Public School to come in on Independence Day, and she gave the small workshop on the meaning of freedom, what it means to them, and also like on the importance of education, because their kids are in government schools. They didn't really have any clarity because schools were shut, so they didn't have any clarity on like what they were supposed to do. And not everyone has a phone where they could do their online classes from. So we keep doing these things for them just to encourage them to think beyond what they are just doing in terms of like work. We've also covered everyone under ESI, which is the Employee State Insurance, and we encourage them a lot to work and think consciously and see what they are doing and think about it, not just like blindly come to work, finish their work, and go back home.
Right. I think it's very similar to, what we were all also doing through the lockdown, where we were constantly trying to, reinvent ourselves and think a little bit more cautiously. I feel like you've literally driven that approach through everyone who was also working for the brand. So I think that's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. On similar lines, you did mention like a more conscious approach. Sustainable ways of working in the industry were a long time coming. A lot of brands have also evolved in the space of slow fashion per se, and they've
Yeah.
always, coupled it with a more conscious approach. What is your take on sustainable fashion?
So I think slow fashion is a better term than to say sustainable fashion, because I feel like if you're making anything new, it's not really sustainable, right? So you can't say that, oh, I made this cotton shirt and I'm a sustainable brand. That's really not sustainable. One, cotton takes a lot of water to kind of,
Hmm.
grow. Other than that, if you don't have the correct quality of cotton that you've used in your clothes, after two washes, it's going to look really ragged. And if you're spending, say, like 10 to 15,000 on a piece of shirt, you don't want to have it look like that.
Yeah.
And you'll be buying more stuff, right? So the moment it's faded, moment it's looking old, you'll buy more stuff. So it's really not, again, it's not sustainable. So I don't agree that any brand is 100% sustainable, but yes, what can we do to reduce the burden on the planet? Can we find better packing solutions? Can we encourage customers to not buy everything and, kind of encourage them to go through their wardrobe first, see what they have, and see how we can kind of add to that instead of buying one entire outfit. So we encourage people to buy things that can go with like two, three outfits as opposed to just one outfit.
Right. I think, yeah, getting there slowly but gradually, I feel, it's a slow process, but I feel like, a lot of brands have spoken about taking these small steps towards a more conscious approach. And I think that really counts.
It will, and I feel like the younger generation is way on point with these things than we are or where our parents were. They're way more responsible about it. They know what they are buying and what is the impact of things, whether good or bad.
Right, right. Okay, I also know that you mostly either retail online or as part of other multi-designer stores. How has like not retailing out of like a brick and mortar store and hugely operating online aided your business? Like, is that like maybe also advice that you would want to give out to budding designers or say anyone starting out a label?
I would say like you need to be wherever you can be, right? So with us, we have a very niche audience because we have a niche product. So I can't expect my customers to come find me. I have to go there, knock on their doors and be like, hey, I exist. And anyone starting out now needs to do that and kind of embrace digital media for this because I think you can cut through so many postcodes and cities just by being online, and that's great. You don't need to invest. Again, this is a more sustainable approach than just like making stores and wasting electricity, water, and these kind of things. You have to kind of find your community and be wherever the community is. I think that's the best way of looking at it. So it can be any product, doesn't have to be fashion, whether you're selling soap or you're selling wine or whatever. Like just find where your community is, who you're targeting, and just be there.
Right. I think on the same lines, even when we started out, we're essentially an augmented reality technology platform.
Yeah,
So even our goal was to reduce the dependency on physical inventory per se, because like there's so much risk associated with that anyway, right? Like there's the risk of loss, threat. So much can happen, and people spend so much time manufacturing, sometimes even the wrong products, right? They
exactly.
might not work out for you. So I think one, it's very important to kind of go where your community is, and especially online. And secondly, even the spike in how people shop. There's this crazy amount of like people shopping online, and the 21st century shopper obviously like craves for convenience, and there's no better way than to like shop online, at least for a certain set of people. Do you think that immersive technologies will also take over the apparel space?
Well, I mean, in a very obvious manner, it's not there, right? It's not like we
Hmm.
have some digital avatar coming and like going to a digital store and shopping for us. But a lot of times, what people I feel they do is that they go online, they see what they want, they check out the prices, they check out the entire collection, everything, and then they go to a physical store if they really want to do the touch and feel of the product and buy from there. So even beyond that, like technology is kind of driving everything that we do with, whether it's like targeting your ads online or forecasting your shopping trends, even the way, say, like we produce fabric or finding alternative ways of making a fabric, or maybe if leather is not the right way of of going about it, like finding a more sustainable approach to leather, like you can make like a leather looking thing out of pineapples. So everything is aided by technology.
I think, even with technology, online consultations grew so much.
Yeah.
Personal shoppers have been on the rise. And so much has kind of like been aided just because there was availability of, digital technologies that help people open up their e-stores, if nothing else.
Exactly. And I think, I mean, for people who've grown up with a phone in their hands, it's been easy for them. But I feel for the generations above that, it's been a game changer.
Yeah.
They could never imagine that, oh, someone could like video call them, for example, like a very small thing, like just video call
Hmm.
them and tell them, oh, like, we have these pieces in store.
Right. Okay, so before we kind of move on to like our next section, I have a
Hmm.
question. Say if you were to release, say, a 5-step crucial checklist to establishing like a successful label, what would you kind of include in that?
Everything I did not do. No,
That's
but
not
jokes apart.
true.
No, I got really lucky. I think have a business plan, have someone who can take care of things when you're not there. So have a great succession plan. You're not going to be there in your office all the time doing things. Definitely have a great product. Without a great product, no matter how well your or good your marketing is, it's not going to go anywhere. Find your customer and find your voice.
Fair. Okay. In the same light, where do you think brands in the retail industry are headed like right now? Like if you were to say where are more homegrown brands headed right now?
So, I mean, last year, really, like you could see a lot of homegrown brands popping up in every sort of a product range, right? But I think where it's headed towards is more towards customization.
Is that something that you also kind of really focus on when it comes to your brand?
Of course, because I think that once, like, even something as small as monogrammed bags, for example, right? Like, you kind of just feel special that this one is for you and you can't kind of share it.
Yeah, fair enough. I think I am also like a big sucker for anything that can even have my initials. I'm like, yes, okay, this is the one for me.
I know you don't mind paying that extra buck, but like, you just like, this one's me.
Okay, so now I'm basically just going to move to the next section of our podcast, which is called High Fives. It's a quick 5-question rapid fire round. I always channel my inner Karan Johar with this round, and people find it very funny sometimes, but
Am I getting a
I am
hamper?
trying. See, this is another question that a lot of people have asked me, and I always say it's a hamper of my love. All of
Okay,
it is for
fine.
you.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Okay, the first question is, what is your 2021 aesthetic in 3 words?
Fast, free, chic.
Okay. Who are the 3 celebrities that you love styling in 43188?
Priyanka Chopra, Malaika Arora, Anushka Sharma.
Okay. One tip to all budding designers.
Show up to work every single day except Sundays.
Okay. One work mantra that flows through the 43188 studio.
So we termed this year as the year of growth, and everything we do is towards that.
It's a great positive affirmation to have. Okay. What's next for 43188 as a brand?
One more month and we'll be ready to announce it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Shweta. I've had a great time chatting with you and getting to know you and your brand. And I hope to see you very soon.
Thank you so much. This was fun.
For everyone who tuned in today, thank you so much for taking the time out and listening to our conversation. If this conversation struck a chord with you, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and share this with your friends and family. If you have a take on the topic we discussed, or if you'd like to share some feedback, please feel free to write to me. I'm going to catch you next week with yet another uninterrupted conversation. Have a great evening ahead.